Hello, my name is Sarah Bodman. I work at the Centre for Print Research at UW Bristol, and I'm one of the organisers of this event, which is to hopefully link artists, librarians and curators and collectors in the Scandinavian and Nordic regions with their counterparts in the UK to hopefully get more people making books, buying books, knowing what they are and working with them in their libraries in ways which will release them and allow them to interact with the students and the public. There are different ways in which we can activate the libraries and the artist books within them. There's a few examples include Artist Book Now series at the British Library in London, where artists are invited to come with their books and give a talk to the public, and where people can handle their books and ask questions. There's also Winchester School of Art Library, for example, which has regular exhibitions and handling events for their students. The display, the Postcards for Perrick, was organised by Linda Parr, who collaborates with us here at the Centre for Fine Print Research in Bristol. And Liverpool Central Library hosted two major exhibitions of works commissioned specially for Liverpool book art exhibitions and events, which were organised by Simon Ryder. In 2018, Senate House Library in London organised and hosted a 6-month exhibition which was curated by Richard Epsley and Lila Kassir. The exhibition looked at 250 years of queer literature from rare books to pulp fiction, and held a series of events around the exhibition which ranged from, for example, a Polari literary salon to writing workshops and film screenings. But one other important thing they did was to commission a contemporary artist, Teresa Easton, to be resident in the library and make a series of artist books in response to some of these works which were on show. The exhibition is still up online, and you can browse it and download some of the resources and a copy of the catalogue publication on the address at the bottom of this slide. This is a beautiful installation by Gracia Harvey and Louise Jennison, two Australian artists who collaborate on artist books and zines and prints. They were originally commissioned to produce this walk-around artist book for the La Trobe Reading Room, which is in the State Library of Victoria. It was installed in 2017 and has been so popular that actually it's still there, so it's been extended indefinitely. As you can see in the top left, that's quite a big space for you to walk around. There are 5 vitrines. Each vitrine contains a display of concertina and artist books and objects. You walk around, so the idea is that you explore the book at the pace with which you want to stroll around it. There's also a free download zine that you can get from their website. Claudia de la Torre of Backbone Books has put this installation together as a touring library. So it's a library of questions where books are installed which have questions in the title. So as this exhibition moves around to different libraries, members of the public are also invited to come and contribute by putting in their own selections of books that have questions in the title. So this library will change and fluctuate depending on where it is and how many people visit. This box was made by the British artist Chloe Spicer as a library rave self-service kit, which you can check out of your library, or as a librarian you can use within the library. So you can have your own disco, but it does come with headphones so that it's a silent disco. In the city of Bristol, we also have the Bristol Art Library, which was established in 1998 by the artist Annabel Other, who is also the head librarian. So this library has been going for 23 years now. It comes in a travelling suitcase and has over 250 books in it, made by artists, scientists, writers, and covers most of the subject matter that you would expect to find in a traditional library. This is a picture of the library unpacked, so its doors are open and it's ready to do business. As you can see, it also has a notice board. Visitors come to the library and join free of charge and are given a library card which they can keep, and then they can visit the library again whenever it turns up near them. So now I'd like to show you a few examples of how we activate the library space at Barrow Ashton. As part of my job at the Centre for Print Research, I work with library staff to organise exhibitions, to bring artist books into the collection, to engage students and staff and the public with the works that are held by the library, and to bring artists and creative people in to run workshops and give talks. Before COVID, and hopefully after COVID, we have had artists come and set up their own exhibitions in the library rather than sometimes posting us stuff that I would set up. If they do that, we quite often ask them if they will do a lunchtime show and tell session for students and staff. And these sessions have morphed into something called the Print in Conversation series, which are organised by Angie Butler, who you'll also be hearing about in these presentations. You can listen to the talks online on the CFPR YouTube channel. But these include, for example, Tim Hopkins of Half Pint Press, who did a beautiful show and tell of the Book of Disquiet that he had printed on a series of ephemera from pencils to slides. Or, for example, Katerina Koisalika. She was a visiting artist from New York working to create a new edition with our research centre, who had a show at the same time and kindly did a presentation in March 2020, just before we went into lockdown. Other sessions have included Teresa Easton, whose work you saw earlier in the Senate House Library slide. Teresa did an exhibition here at Barrow Ashton Library of her books from that exhibition, and also some of her protest books, which can be unfolded and used as protest posters. And Leonard McDermott, who did the first show and tell from his exhibition in October 2019, which was a kind of complete retrospective of his publications as a poet and artist. We've also hosted artists who might be visiting the UK to attend the Small Publishers Fair or another event. Frans Barker, the Dutch artist whose works are about his travels by land or boat, has twice visited and given public show and tells of his practice in the library and in our studios. Not all of the exhibition displays are static. UK artists Maddie Hearn and Paul Hearn, who worked as Pineapple Falls, have installed 2 exhibitions in our library where they've come in and responded to items in the collection. So they've included books from the shelves or items that they've seen or found in the library within the display, and then created their own version of things that you can call a book or that would function as a book, which you can download from our website and think about your own ideas of what you think could function as a book. When the artist Daniel Lahan had his day page exhibition at Barrow Ashton Library in 2017, he also ran a day page workshop. Daniel's practice is to create a 1 A4 page per day on his typewriter as a kind of visual diary of his recollection of the day's events. This is typed and collaged using found materials gathered throughout the day. So Daniel came and we loaned and borrowed and brought in typewriters from staff and students for people to sit in the library and create their own day pages. The poet and artist Jeremy Dixon of Hazard Press had a fantastic exhibition of his artist books made out of giant playing cards. For this, he set himself a challenge to make 52 books in 52 weeks, so 1 book per week, over a year, and installed the display of his outcome in the library. But he also came along and did a 1-day poetry and show and tell event for us on a Saturday. In 2018, Barrow Ashton Library launched a new Artist in Residence programme, initially just for students and hoping to extend that out to external visitors once we can have them again. The first artist in residence was Kathy Webb, who at that time was a student on our master's printmaking programme. Kathy responded to individual shelves in the library, producing a book per shelf in response, which she then put into this box set for the library. Kathy devised a system where she would go to each shelf and take books and open them on a specific page number and go to a specific line to take one word from each book and then create a series of poems. So each book is one poem, which is an ode to each shelf. She enjoyed the experience so much that the next year, in 2019, her degree show composed of a new series of books which were inspired by other artist books in the library made after her residency. We ran a project called Bookmarks over many years, which was actually made to promote artist books to the wider audience, encouraging the public to get involved with artist books and find out what they were. This became quite successful, and as so many people know what artist books are now, we felt like we didn't really need to run the project anymore. But from 2010 to 11, we turned the tables, and rather than sending bookmarks to librarians to give away, we asked librarians to make the bookmarks themselves as artists to send out to bookshops and book art centres. So the idea was that the librarians' ideas and artworks were escaping from their libraries and going out into the wider world. And these are a few more examples of some of the bookmarks made by librarians. The libraries always formed the backdrop for our World Book Night events, which are an annual celebration of reading and collaborative making with artists, writers, the public, anyone who really wants to join in. So I'm going to show you a few examples of some of the things that we've done with artist books in the library. So for example, for World Book Night 2015, we asked people to make a miniature object from Stephen King's book The Shining. We had an exhibition of the tiny objects and made a video and produced a collaborative artist book, which is now held in the library. In 2016, we invited people to make a rubber stamp artwork that we could print in an edition based on The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. So a box set called Serena Joy was produced and exhibited in the library, a copy of which is now held in the library and has been sent to other libraries and artists. In 2017, artists and some students went on an expedition to look for the Loch Ness Monster. So we invited people to contribute by either sending us a photograph of their sighting of the Loch Ness Monster or to design a book cover for a book that could have been written about the Loch Ness Monster. So again, this was exhibited in the library, and the copy of the book produced, which is called Bookishness, curated by Linda Parr, is in the collection of the library. We've also collaborated with other libraries. For example, in 2018, we filmed the final book that had been produced as a collaboration between artists and writers at Weston-super-Mare Library, which is on the North Somerset coast. We did that because the story that we were responding to involved ships passing the isthmus. For the project, we invited artists to create a response either through text or image to the short story, and the resulting works were again displayed in Barrow Ashton Library as physical objects before being returned to the artists. And then of course in 2020 everything changed because of lockdown as libraries closed and we ended up working from home. We had already devised a project which was actually looking at the ethical responsibilities of travel for World Book Night 2020. We didn't realise really quite how fitting that would be. So we had to think on our feet and quickly turned what we had asked people to go and sit in a library of their choice and send us a postcard physically to include in the exhibition and make into a book, became an online thing where we asked people to travel within their imagination rather than physically and send us digitally examples so that we could create an online exhibition instead. This year became slightly different in that although people still couldn't travel, we could actually ask people to create an object and post it to us physically at work. So we were able to install the exhibition this year. We called it the Herbarium because Linda Parr and I, who curate the project between us, thought it would be a simple and nice thing to cheer everybody up when people were in different lockdowns. So the idea was that people were sent a flower. These were exhibited in the library and then made into a mail art exchange. So we posted somebody else's flower back to somebody else, We also commissioned the poet and artist Nancy Campbell to write 3 poems, which were letterpress printed and made as a keepsake for the project, and each one was sent to each artist as well in their envelope. We'll be doing a new version of Will Book Night for 2022, which will be called Ghost in the Machine. So the deadline for that is the 1st of March. We'd be really pleased if you might like to join us. The instructions on how to do that can be found at the address on the bottom, or you can just email me and ask me to send you the PDF. And the last thing I want to show you is the bookarts newsletter, which comes out every 4 to 6 weeks and is a free resource that you can download from our website. The first page of every newsletter features the exhibition that we currently have on in our library, but after that it contains information from all over the world on exhibitions, opportunities, book fairs and events and workshops and things, and we ask libraries, artists, institutions, organisers, bookshops to send us information on anything that they want promoted through the newsletter. So it's a good overall resource to get an idea of what's going on out there in the world with artist books on a regular basis. Thank you for listening. I hope this has given you some things to think about, and I look forward to seeing those of you who will be coming to the in-person event tomorrow. If you are watching this after the event and you'd still like some information on the project, then please do feel free to email me at the address on the screen. Thank you.